You're less likely to quit when you remove failure from the equation. That is something that we learned from Kat Lee in her session called Goal Setting 101. Aloha, I'm Sabbath Kapahu. Welcome to Invited Back. We're continuing in a deep dive mini-series based on the sessions from Stimulate Summit. And like I mentioned, today we are reviewing some of the resources that we talked about in our Goal Setting 101 workshop with Kat Lee. Just as a quick review, if you haven't watched what that video was about, or you haven't seen her session clip that's going to come out shortly, we talked about what is the true purpose of a goal. It's not just to write something down and to achieve that, to check it off. The true purpose of a goal is to solve a problem. What problem are we trying to solve within ourselves so that we can build stamina in our marriage, or with our husband so that we can be encouraged and gain confidence together? We talked about what does a good goal consist of. We talked about a goal versus the process, or I should say Kat talked about it in her workshop with us. She talked about the impact of goal tracking. Now, if you're not somebody who loves accountability, and I have to say I'm the kind of person who loves it depending on who it's coming from, if you know what I mean. But there is a huge impact in goal tracking, whether it's something that we are doing on our own, or it's something that goes into this next thing, which is the role of accountability. Accountability is key when it comes to Goal Setting 101, when it comes to solving problems. And then she talked about some examples of good goals. So what we're going to talk about in this recording session now is some resources. There's tons of stuff out there, like I said in the last session. And the reality is that before we can really consume our, okay, let me pause. Take a breath. It's easy to get overwhelmed, and it's easy to get buried under all of the different ways that people will tell us are the way to achieve a goal. Now, the thing that we have to do first is figure out exactly what that problem we're trying to solve is, and then how we can remain accountable in order to go through the process to achieve that goal. And here are some books that we talked about in the resources at Stimulate Summit for the Goal Setting 101 workshop. And we're going to talk about some books, we're going to talk about podcasts, and then I'm going to give you links to tools, some really simple things like a legal pad and a good set of pens and a Google Calendar, and some apps that Kat likes to use, which is called Things app. And yes, there's a link in the description to good old sticky notes. Sometimes that is exactly what you need to see every day to motivate you through the process and get that goal achieved. Atomic Habits: An Easy and Proven Way to Build Good Habits and Break Bad Ones by James Clear. The next book, Tiny Habits: Small Changes That Change Everything by B.J. Fogg. The Power of a Habit: Why We Do What We Do in Life and Business by Charles Duhigg. Better Than Before: Mastering the Habits of Our Everyday Lives. Are you sensing a theme here? The things that we do on a daily basis matter. The things that we do on a daily basis matter, and we have the power and the opportunity to shape those habits into the realities that we wanted to create for ourselves, for our marriages, for our families, and for our communities. Now, I am far, 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 far from perfect at creating habits that stick. My husband will tell you I'll be really good for like a month, and then kind of everything goes out the window until something new motivates me, and then I'll be really good for a month. So I'm on this journey with you, and I'll tell you time and time again, that's why being the host of Stimulate Summit was just as much for my own heart as a wife as it was for my desire to create spaces for these real conversations to happen, for wives to be able to talk about the things that we're really dealing with. And part of that is the fact that we want to be better. Excuse me, I have to readjust this little camera. We want to be better. than when we came into our marriages. And in order to do that, we get to set goals. But sometimes we need to have conversations about what those healthy goals look like. And so that's what a part of this process and the hope for this session at Stimulate Summit was. We got to be really intentional. And we got to be intentional about the really small things and the really big things. And we have to say that it matters to us. And we have to let our husbands know that we matter, that they matter, to us. And again, I am on this journey with you. I am right in the thick of it with you. So the last book, of course, is Hello Mornings by Kat Lee, How to Build a Grace-Filled, Life-Giving Morning Routine, because the way we start our morning will have an impact on the way the rest of the day goes. But we have to give ourselves permission to reimagine what that looks like. Some of us grew up in spaces that said you have to do it a certain way or you've already failed. But we get to reimagine what that looks like. What is a grace-filled, life-giving morning routine for you, for your spouse, for your family? And how is that going to impact you for the rest of the day, day after day, habit after habit? A couple great podcasts that are in the resource list is The Next Right Thing by Emily P. Friedman and The Lazy Genius by Kendra Adachi. She's also just released a mini video series, so you can look that up as well. It's a really exciting time for her and all of the amazing resources that she has out. Like I said, down below, there will be links to all of these things that I've mentioned, the resources that we've talked about, including a legal pad and a Flair pen, and to Google Calendar in case you just need that little extra nudge that it's time to start putting things on the calendar, and sticky notes. I think we can never have enough sticky notes. Stay tuned for a session clip where Kat talks about one of the hardest but most rewarding times in her marriage with her husband and what it looked like to walk through a season after season after season after season, really, of setting goals and how setting goals really brings us together. Until next time, aloha.